experience. Ebra.
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 Awa.
Awa.
Ebra. Awa.
Ebra. Awa.
Ebra. Ebra. Awa.
Awa. Awa. Meow. Meow.
Puff and Pass.
What's up, everybody? It's Red. This is Puff and Pass. How's everyone going today?
What?
Woo woo. We're gonna do some introductions quickly. Red, what's up?
Yo, I'm Skeptic the Rapper. How you doing, son?
Hi, I'm Bella.
I'm Rachel.
Thank you. Thanks for being here today, guys. Really appreciate it. I'll cover what we're going to be talking about in a minute. So before we jump into it today, we might be talking about some sensitive content, maybe stuff that you relate to a little bit, might be a bit personal. I suggest maybe listening to someone that you trust, have a good relationship with, so you can just come back down to earth and, you know, be grounded and just feel safe. And if you're feeling any certain way, maybe just give it a break for a minute, come back to it when you feel ready. So thanks for that. And that being said, let's get into it.
Yeah.
So today, we're going to sum up a little bit of what we were talking about last week. Last week we were talking about a lot of like science stuff behind drugs. So a lot of what it does to your body, what's in it. We talked a lot about like cutter and stuff. So that's like when drugs are laced or cut with different things so that the dealers can produce larger amounts of the drug. Sometimes it's not pure. And we were talking about the most common cutters and what they can do to you and like the effects that it has in your body and stuff. We covered a little bit about, you know, long time use sort of, or what it looks like to be a user of certain substances. We're going to get more into that today. We've got 3 main subjects for today that I think are pretty good to get into. So that being said, we'll just jump into it. So Bella, if you want to shoot your shot.
What do you think attracts youth to substance use?
That's a heaps good question. Well, it's like with anything being attracted, or anyone being attracted to anything, I guess it's all down to the point of perspective, who you are, what you're brought up with. I know, you know, some people just aren't really in a good headset. They're just sad, need a bit of an escape to, you know, feel something else, feel something a bit different. Personally speaking, just friends. The people that you hang around with, you know, some people just like to party a little bit harder than other people, and you just kind of like want to feel involved and into it. You don't want to be like a downer or anything. So I think that's a big thing, just influence, I guess.
Yeah, the influence of the crowd and situation and stuff, yeah.
Totally.
No, awesome. I think a big reason that we find a lot of the time is like the whole mental health side of it. A lot of the time it's, you know, I'm not feeling great and I was just trying to feel a bit better or find a fun experience or look into something else. Like I said, at Park Fest, that was 80% of the response that we got was why do you look into doing that for the first time? And it was, I had access to it and I felt shitty. So I decided, you know, I want to chase a different feeling. Anyone can access it in Adelaide. It's really easy. I find like even the younger you are, the easier it is to get your hands on it in a way. Like it's starting really young these days. And even just heavier things straight off the bat. Like I feel like it used to it was a gateway thing kind of back in the day. Like it started with cigarettes at high school and then it got to marijuana. It would progress further the older you got, but these days it's just you can get straight into it really easily.
It's kind of straight up. People are just straight up.
Yeah, that's it. There's like no starting like fades. It's just straight into it and it just really quickly gets head over heels for everyone and like they're just in this situation really quickly.
I was going to say some of that also involves like the fact that a lot of people's parents do it, so it's all that they've seen and they go, well, if my parent does this, well, that's normal.
100%.
And people accept that as just normal behavior and they don't realize that, hey, I'm destroying myself and stuff like that.
No, that's it. I think, like Ty was saying, it has a lot to do with who you're around and your environment, maybe people that you're around, like you were saying, family, a lot of friends. I know that I grew up with it, and a lot of youth in Adelaide would have, especially, I feel like my parents' generation, weed was a huge thing for my parents' generation back when they were young. Like that was their kind of party thing. Alcohol, huge.
Yeah,
and marijuana. Yeah, definitely. And I find a lot of I know people of my father and mother's generation are anti-drugs but pro-alcohol.
They're all like alcoholics but just
I think it's more accepted to be an alcoholic.
No, that's exactly
100%. there's still obviously stigma and bullshit surrounded with being an alcoholic. Like, you still have to face a lot of demons and deal with it, but it's in a sense, it's easier to be an alcoholic than it is addicted to heroin.
Yeah.
It's like, if we're being realistic here.
Yeah, it's all about access.
Yeah.
There's a difference between going to your grocery store and getting everything you want while you're there.
They make it a happy, you can take your kids into, like, I used to go with my dad to the bottle shop when we were little, and you know, I'd go, oh, look at all these pretty bottles. They're getting me ready for it. They're pre-marketing
we
their
had
alcohol
like a
to
really
me.
cool shop too. Like, it was in a cool building, and
See
it
what
was
I mean?
like
You
cool
remember
to go there.
Yeah, you remember the bottle shop because
or it's like, like my father in particular, I remember him getting bottles of like gold flakes and stuff like that through it. So it was really pretty colours with these shiny bits through it.
exactly.
And it's like, oh, that's just appealing.
No, exactly.
Also, I think too, there was, for me as a child too, like giving children like fizzy grape juice and stuff and pretending it's wine.
Yeah, 100%.
Or beer
100%.
because you want to feel like an adult.
Yeah.
Mocktinis.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. I remember.
We all had a parent make us a mocktinis.
Oh, yeah. I'll say, I remember at a car racing event one time, I had like a beer hat that like you can drink the beer cans.
Yeah.
And my dad like poured out these VB cans and put Pepsi in them because he thought he was so funny. And I'm like 9 years old, and I'm walking around the clips all like drinking cans of VB, and everyone's just looking at me like the fucking looks that I'm getting, man. It was crazy. And my dad was like proud of himself in a way. Like, I don't know, it was funny.
It was funny.
Yeah, like it was innocent. There wasn't, and my dad, of course, was not enabling me drinking as a 9-year-old child. My dad's
he's
not.
just like, look at my mini me.
Yeah, exactly. But that's how normalized alcohol is.
I also think there is a thing too with, there was a bit in and out about it, and going to get a beer for someone at a young age.
Exactly what you're talking about,
100%. Or go grab dad on the beer.
Yeah.
You know, because they can't be bothered.
Yeah, just go grab it out of the back fridge.
Yeah, that's out the beer fridge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
You know what goes in that fridge. You know what that fridge represents.
You know those glass bottles you're not allowed to drink.
That's it.
Yeah.
You know when the adults start drinking, what that night is usually going to turn out to be.
Yeah, exactly. It's like some groups of adults that you knew as a child you had to avoid because, once they started drinking, they're not in control.
Exactly.
But others were like pretty drinkers.
Yeah.
Almost, which made it appealing to...
See, I know what you mean there, because with my family in particular, I have a white Australian side of my family and a black Maori side of my family. Yeah. And the white side of my family, their alcoholism is very prim and proper. And it's wine and champagne with strawberries at picnics, but they're still drinking a bottle of wine a day. Like, they're still getting it.
But they're making it look nice.
Exactly. As where my black family, it's typically around like a bonfire while you're eating and stuff, a barbecue. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a more family social. It's not such a pretty sort of dressed up thing.
And also people do it quite privately, like too,
100%.
Just going home and
100%.
having some wine. Like, I've seen posts about, parents being like, oh, I'm a wine mum, and that really,
imagine saying I'm a weed mum. Could you imagine?
Changes up straight.
Could you imagine the looks you would get? Like, my child knows that I smoke marijuana. Like, could you imagine the looks that you'd get? The immediate negative reaction.
Different.
Yeah, and it could be two of the same people. They both go to work. They're both good parents. Like, they're supplying everything their children need. They're feeding them. Like,
but because one's legalized and one's not.
Yeah, exactly. There's different stigmas.
I think that
involved.
some countries have recognized too, though, that marijuana isn't as bad as people make it out to be. Like,
in certain situations.
It can be bad for people, but often, well, most people I know can still function pretty well.
Yeah, as long as it's monitored.
Yeah.
Done in a safe.
Sorry, I'm not trying to promote.
No, of course. Yeah, not promoting anything, but you have to be realistic about it.
Promote the medical industry.
It's just, I'd be more comfortable with someone who smoked weed around my child than drank heavily. In a way, if they have
it'd be a safer
if I know that they're not obviously showing my child that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
But I mean, if they've had a bit of weed and I know they can handle themselves and all that sort of stuff, and they're pretty good at functioning, I'm going to be less stressed about that than someone that's drinking.
Yeah, like different people function different on different substances, and that's again why alcohol has such a wide opinion. Like, for some people have like my mum, for example, is the happiest drinker on this planet.
Oh yeah.
And she is generally a very aggro person. She is generally not one of the nice. She's very short-tempered, very straightforward, swears a lot, yells a lot. That's just who my mum is. She has 1 Bailey's in her, and she's the happiest person on this earth. Like,
Guess cookies and cream.
Yeah, oh yeah, you know it. No, she's like one of the giggliest, happiest people ever. Like, it completely switches her demeanor. But then I've had friends who are the most beautiful, loving, quiet people, and they have 1 drink in them, like 1 cruiser in them, and then it's just a different person, like belligerent, screaming. Like, alcohol can really affect people really differently.
Yeah.
And different types of alcohol also affect people so dramatically differently.
Yeah, that's it. 100%.
Compared to like spirits and then
That's it.
so on.
People don't really think about that either. when
No,
they're
especially as a
drinking.
little kid, when you're drinking goon in the park with your friend and vodka and orange juice, you're not like, what does different effects does different alcohol have on my body? Like,
You're not thinking about that.
yeah, that's the last thing that you give a fuck about, like, that you could care about possibly. So, but anyway, getting a bit back,
So-
that's all right. That's an important conversation. I think it's not spoken about enough. Alcoholism and just alcohol culture. There's a really big culture surrounding around alcohol.
And
like,
it's really accepting culture for what it promotes.
oh yeah,
In
100%.
fact, it causes so much destruction. It promotes so much destruction, but everyone loves it.
Yeah, that's it. Well,
Just-
everyone's like, oh, after work, I go to the pub, or Friday night, hit town, like it's a thing for a lot of people. And even if it's just drinking at home, you can still drink yourself away at home the same way that you can at a pub or at a bar. And then people can get into gambling and, like, just gets into this big cycle. Like, a lot of my friends, like, know every single person who works at the bar and their shifts and stuff. And I'm like, dude, are you serious?
It's like you spend too much time.
Yeah, that's it. I'm like, it's nice to have a relationship with the people you're local with, but to know when your favorite bartender is working their shifts, like, and you go, like, do you know what I mean? You go there at certain times because certain.
It's like you shouldn't know your bar's routine.
Yeah, like,
you shouldn't be there often enough.
Revolving your whole life around that, and it's hard for some people, like, especially people, like, for alcohol in particular. When I was working in the kitchen, as soon as everyone got out of the kitchen, that was the first thing. At 11 o'clock at night, everyone got out of the kitchen, they hit the bar straight away and they got smashed. Then they'd wake up, do the same thing all weekend. They were hard working people, like, ridiculous shifts, and they weren't drunk while working or anything. They were probably hungover the next morning, but a lot of the time in the kitchen, it was, you know what, it's such a culture. Like I said, it's just a huge drinking alcohol, and you see the ads since you're little. The bottle shops are made to look pretty, and when you're in the bottle shops, I know about you guys, or at the bar, for my mum and dad at the bar, I'm like, I want a packet of chips, and give me a packet of they're sucking you in as a little kid. They're all the colours and stuff. They want you to be ready for when you
Everything's
consider
bright
the bar.
and colourful.
That's it. It's like when you're not
funky names and stuff.
and when you're not allowed something, you want it.
Always.
You want it extra. It's
When
like,
you're told not to do something or not to touch something,
That's it.
what are you doing?
yeah,
Touching it.
3 years in a row, I wasn't allowed to go to the blue light disco. I snuck out every time. I figured out some way to get to the blue light disco. The first year, my dad was like, "You're allowed to go." I'm like, "This is fucking lame."
You're like, damn it.
Yeah, I was like, I
let
don't even want
me.
to go anymore, man. Like, as if I'm allowed to go, So, yeah, just around that whole alcohol culture, it's a fucking thing. It's everywhere,
And the whole-
especially with adults. I find with adults more so than people my age. People my age, I find, are more about the party drugs and marijuana and prescription.
Fast-paced things.
Yeah, that's
a lot of
it.
the time.
That's
a lot of
it.
people are going for fast things to keep themselves going.
100%. And like, I know a lot of people who wouldn't choose, like, alcohol's not their substance of choice because sometimes it can take a lot to get the effect, and immunities can build up, and like, people get into that habit and then they start chasing higher, harder
Yeah, and I was gonna
highs
say,
a lot of the time.
there's also those people who, if they want to hide it from someone else, alcohol is really not the good option because it smells for so long.
Yeah, that's
and
it.
that throws into another effect of it, if really, is just whether you're being secretive or not.
Yeah,
You know?
and that was what I was saying just before I came in here. Like, I was like, I'm gonna smell like cigarettes. Like, I hate that being a smoker because people smell your cigarettes and like going fucking
Yeah, the
dirty.
judgmental
Yeah.
people that you just don't need.
Exactly, it's like that with the alcohol.
Yeah.
Like when you smell alcohol, they always say in the
can
police,
smell it on
in the
your breath.
RBT shows, I could smell the alcohol in his breath as soon as he rolled down the window. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you hear that immediately. There's immediate assumptions about what you should look like, what you sound like, what you smell like.
Yeah.
There are
How
assumptions
you
that
speak, how
Yeah.
you move.
just because you use a certain substance or whatever. Yeah, but attraction, I think there is a big attraction to substance, and a lot of the time that's not addressed enough because, you know, it's not even, there's a difference between it being glorified and it being like, it looking like something fun. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot. There's an attraction to it in the sense, like it looks like a big carnival, like
Yeah,
it's
and I was
made
gonna say,
out.
depending on what like your friends have told you as well on their experiences, a lot of people will base their own opinions and thoughts off of what everyone else has told them.
Yeah.
So if everyone's only told them the good side of things, not the 4 days later,
Exactly.
you know, then they don't think of the negative impacts. They don't think, oh, but it will do this and it will do that.
No, that's what we were talking about last week.
And it's
Like
just,
all you think about is, oh, I can't wait till my mate's 18th. We're gonna take caps and we're gonna have a great
we're
night.
going to do this and we're going to do
But
that.
Are you planning to come down? Are you planning the next 3 days afterwards when your head's ringing and you can't eat properly and you can't get up to have a shower?
Yeah, exactly.
What are you? Do you have work? And like, you need to think about if you can plan a party for 6 to 9 months or whatever in advance. I know how excited people get for birthday parties. And
Yeah,
events
exactly.
and
Are you
shit.
planning for the
Festivals.
after effects?
Exactly. If you can plan for a party for that long, then there's no excuse to not be able to plan for a recovery.
I'll do a little bit of research.
Yeah, get a testing
Oh,
kit.
yeah.
We say it every episode. Get a testing kit. Get a testing
Get a
kit.
fucking
Get a fucking
testing
testing
kit.
kit.
It's not hard.
No,
No.
they're cheap, man. They're reasonably cheap. You don't have to be 18 to buy one. Like, don't stress. There's online places you can get them. To enter off your tree, you have to have a guardian with you if you're not 18. Happy Herbs. You have to be 18 or have a 18-year-old guardian with you. And Off Your Tree has them. You don't have to be 18 to buy them. They're not going to go, what are you buying this drug test for, young person? Like, you're not going to get interrogated. The cops aren't going to jump you as soon as you get out the shop. You're doing the right thing. You're trying to make sure people are safe. Like, it should be a mandatory thing. Like, at party festivals, there should be mandatory drug test stations at music festivals.
It should be more of a common thought for people.
100%. Because, and again, I know a lot of the time I find adults don't want to have things like safe use rooms there because that's enabling the use of it.
Yeah.
But would you rather have somewhere people can safely dispose of things, or because you know it's going to happen, or would you rather pretend it's not happening and have HIV and diseases spread to the community?
Yeah.
Like,
I was going to say that's like with bathrooms. They all have sharp bins, even though there's only one type of people who are going in there with sharps in public spaces.
most of the time, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know,
That's
there's a
it.
small margin that is an exception.
Yeah, medical.
Yeah,
reason,
exactly. But a lot of the time, that's the only reason we have them there is because
Yeah.
people know that they're doing it, or
100%.
or those public toilets that lock after a
Yeah,
certain time,
that's
or
it.
open after certain times. It's shit like
And
that.
see, you think about like when you're in real fancy areas, like compared to someone like Woodville or Seaton. When you're at the dog park at Woodville or Seaton, there are needles scattered through the oval.
Yeah.
When you're in somewhere like, I don't know, Norwood and Blackfoot, like, you know, fancier kind of area, even North Haven, like when you're in those sorts of areas, the streets are being cleaned better. Like, there is no, even cigarette butts at the shopping mall
I
are
was
a
gonna
least
say,
common thing.
places that have less concentration of units.
Yeah, that's it, 100%.
The places that have higher concentrations of actual houses
Yeah.
are usually much higher in standard.
That's
Like
it.
living in a unit block, from personal experience, you've got to look out for needles. You've got to look
Yeah.
out for random sappy shit like
Yeah,
that.
that's it.
And it's really weird because you see the lower economic areas, they are worse for it.
Yeah,
Even though
definitely.
it's like, but technically this group of people have less money, but they're still going for the more expensive things.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. It's a tricky like class thing when it gets to that as well. But there's still kids from rich areas with rich parents and kids from low income areas with
They're
no
doing-
parents.
Yeah, doing the complete
Yeah,
opposite.
they don't have parents. They're in the system, or they're in foster care. They have foster parents or whatever, or they're staying with their auntie and their uncle or their grandma. They've never met their fucking mum and dad. But at the end of the day, these two different groups of people are still mingling, and their outcome is the same. What they're doing is the same thing. What they're producing from that situation is the same thing, and a lot of the time it's fucking danger. 60 to 80% of the time it's danger because it's careless mindlessness, and it's just not enough education going into thoughts and decisions before they're being made. And it's just
not enough education around it. That's
100%. And kids just don't look for it. A lot of the time, youth are lazy.
They don't want to know about it. It's a lot of the time it's like they will want to look into it, but they don't want to know the answers. They don't want to hear.
Yeah, and again, that's with a lot of the stigma surrounding it.
Yeah.
You don't want to admit and all of that. You don't want to play into that.
You don't want to think about it.
Yeah, exactly. So I think something that'd be really cool to talk about for one of our 3 little main subjects today. Do you guys? I don't know if you have any examples that come to head when I say it, but can you guys, what's your opinion on youth over glorifying substance use in a negative way? So like in unsafe spaces, maybe with unsafe people, what comes to your mind when I say not using drugs in a safe space even? What do you guys think about that?
I see it a lot.
I've been with plenty of like groups of teenagers who like obviously aren't allowed to smoke or do whatever at home. So the first thought is like, hell yeah, let's go to this abandoned building up the road from me and we'll just smoke up and do drugs in there. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah,
man?
that's it, man.
And I was just thinking too, even in areas where you might consider it, like people don't think about it as much because like you guys were saying about having houses and the difference
the economical side of it.
Even those places have places where people go to smoke and
Exactly.
like I know one of around my place. I know
that's it. Well,
place,
even at my school in particular, at our wellbeing school, we have students who are removed from quite high up there schools for substance related issues. Like it's everywhere. It's in every part of society, every level of society,
Yeah. So maybe not glorifying it, but I've seen many of instances where kids are just not giving a shit.
Yeah, man.
Like whatever gets me fucked up, man.
That's it.
Whatever I'm gonna get buzzed off of, it doesn't matter. I don't care what it is. I don't care how we take it. As long as we're doing it, as long as I'm feeling something different. Like so, maybe not saying, "Oh yeah, drugs are cool." It's like whatever's in front of me.
Yeah, that's it. Like I don't care attitude.
I definitely feel though that when you're younger, there's a bit more stigma to the whole drugs are cool thing. Like definitely when I started smoking, for sure, I was like, I'm so cool, look at me, I smoke.
Well, yeah, it really just depends because in high school I was like, oh, I'm so, like, it was my personality, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm a weed smoker, like, I'm so cool. But because when I was using so young, I had to hide it from everyone else because it was a very clearly taboo thing. From the 1 or 2 people I had told, their responses proved to me that it wasn't a normal everyday thing. Like, I was 9 years old smoking and my friends had no idea, like they didn't understand it. I couldn't explain that, so it really depends on the social
I think
situation.
Being older for me when I started definitely makes a bit of a difference in that. The
biggest reason I had friends in high school, I would walk up to random people who I assumed look like weed smokers and be like, do you want to come back to my house, ditch school for the day and smoke some weed? And that's how I made a lot of friends.
Yeah, for sure. I was selling bags in high school, so that's what I was doing. I would just walk up to a select few, and I was in Woodville. It's a rough area, man.
Yeah,
so
that's it.
Every second person you talk to, they're gonna say yeah. So yeah, flipping bags, man, you just say what's up, you get what you need to get, and then people just don't care what happens for the rest of the day.
No, that's
You're like,
it.
weed, man, fuck yes, let's finally leave, let's go do something. When you're not actually doing something, you're just fucking off to get high.
No, and most of the, like in my circumstance, a lot of the kids were only going to school to see their dealers, to meet up with with their plugs to get their goods and go most of the time. Like even just dealing durries. I don't know if that was a huge thing for any of you guys, but when I was at Woodville in particular, Woodville was crazy for it. They used to sell cigars and tobacco. Like people would roll smokes and sell them for like $2 a cigarette, man. Like people were making a killing. Kids selling drugs to kids in the schoolyard, mate. In the fucking schoolyard. Like, and these kids are selling their like their lunch money is not going to lunch, it's going to cigarettes. And then they're selling the cigarettes for profit, and then that profit's going to drugs, and then they're using those drugs instead of going to school. And this is all happening in the schoolyard.
Yeah,
all within the schoolyard. You don't need to leave the schoolyard for that to even happen.
And I mean, how many children have been handed lunch money and never spent it on lunch?
Exactly.
It doesn't matter what.
I get the convenience of it. Like, for me, it was my dad worked late. My mum and dad split up young, so I wasn't with mum. My dad worked late, and it was hard for him to make lunches for us, and my dad wasn't a very hands-on dad like that. He didn't really understand the whole packing lunches and, doing that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So we were given lunch money a lot of the time. And I reckon if 500 times I was given lunch money, 50 of those times I spent it on lunch.
Oh,
and that's because from the day before, like I
still
said,
got leftovers.
I had leftovers of my weed and stuff from my supplies had not be diminished yet.
Sure, man, for sure.
And that was a third of the time I was spending my lunch money on lunch.
Yeah. With the over glorifying, I can actually think of a couple of times where like people just don't want to hang out with other people because they don't smoke. You're in a clique of people and we're like, hey, maybe we should hang out with this guy. Nah, man, he doesn't smoke. Like, he doesn't want to do drugs and shit. He's a square man.
Yeah, man. Fuck that loser.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah,
exactly.
that's it.
Like, you get it a lot, you know? Like, normally, for some reason, the coolest people at the parties are the dudes getting off their fucking face. If you're not that guy, people don't want to fucking know you.
That's it, man. People don't care who you are.
Yeah,
like, it's like that a lot of the time, especially out in town. I've realized. Like the groups at like the clubs, when there's groups of people, there's always drugs.
And they're segregated into their drug groups.
Yeah, 100. Yeah,
which drugs they do, they segregate into their
groups. There's the weed, there's the caps, there's the pot. Everyone is in their own little groups all night. And I think drug use is different classes in a way.
Yeah.
Like you
the income basis as well.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
Some cheapskate's not going to be getting cocaine every time they want to get high.
Exactly, different classes of people get involved in different acts, like we're saying.
Definitely.
And it really depends with the over-glorifying thingy.
Songs over-glorify.
No shit,
Yeah.
No, it's a big part of, in particular, rap culture.
Yeah, for sure.
It's also
that it's got to be a drug
just
culture.
Thinking about a song that is a bit more glamorous and they talk about more like drinking and cocaine and stuff.
Yeah, that's it.
That make it really glamorous sounding.
So when it's ghetto rap, like when it's hood rap, it's more bongs and buds, you're hearing those words more. But Bella, you're right. When it's I made it out of that, I'm taking drugs with rich people now.
Yeah, it's like, look at me and my fancy hoes and my good drugs.
For example, my dad, I tried going to a private high school that was a bit out of my league. I tried
too, don't worry.
Oh god. Anyway, I lasted 4 weeks.
I did better.
my dad goes to me, well, you're moving up in the world, you're not smoking weed in Woodville, you're taking coke and rosewater. And I was like, wow, like that was you know what I mean, that classism thing, that different people having different access and different stigmas.
And the fact that it's joked about, the fact that you went upper class in school, so you had to be going upper class in drugs as well.
Exactly. It was like, my dad had a really beat down car at the time, and poor little dumb ignorant me, I thought that mattered. It doesn't matter what shape your car's in. You've got a car, it's getting you somewhere. Be proud of that car. Put love into that car and you thank that car.
Facts.
Anyway.
It got you around.
That's it. Anyway, I was not respectful of my dad's car at the time. And I didn't want my dad to park near that high school because I didn't want people to think negative things of me.
You didn't want them to think you're poor.
Yeah, exactly.
No, for sure.
Exactly. I didn't want people to think, oh, there's a dirty poor kid.
Yeah.
Like, I spray painted my shoes because I had brown shoes and not black shoes. We had to have black shoes at school. I spray painted them black. My dad spray painted them black so that I'm not fucking spending $100 on a pair of shoes. I'm going to buy an $8 can of spray paint and just spray paint your shoes. But I was scared for my dad to park near the school because I didn't want to look like a different class. I didn't want to look like less than the other people there.
Yeah.
But they're still doing the same things that I am. They're still, getting on drugs, and they're figuring out how to get out of the school and where's the best spot to have a smoke. And, it's the same stuff at the end of the day. It's just got different layers.
Yeah.
Like, it just looks different.
Yeah.
But deep down, it's the exact same thing.
It's like you have multiple types of onions. They all look the same on the inside, but their skin's different.
They're all fucking onions, man.
They're all fucking onions.
Exactly, and it's all the same bitter shit on the inside a lot of the
Yeah.
time. Like, it's relatable, you know, through the different classes of people and stuff, and different area codes and all of that. You know, it's different, but it relates a lot of the time. And so just with the music videos and stuff, with rap, a lot of it was, rap came from people who weren't rich, who weren't big time people. That's where it came from. It was a vibe. A lot of the time it was a bunch of mates on the porch high making music with each other.
For sure.
Like, that's what that vibe was.
I was gonna say, you see that definitely in like a lot of the older music videos. Like, you can tell whether they're on psychedelics or not.
No,
like, you can
100%.
tell by how they
100%.
presented themselves and
That's
how
it,
the
man.
video was presented.
But then when it, in the same sense of the music world though, there's people like Juice and stuff. And like, when that sort of stuff happens, the music industry, almost for like a month after someone's death, it's like they won't take drugs out of respect. And they won't over glorify it for like a month after someone's death because they want to be respectful.
Quiet for a little bit.
And they're still taking the drugs, they're still drinking lean, smoking weed every day, but they're just not talking about it because it's killing you. It's killing people. You guys are losing friends. That's not fun.
People are losing friends, parents, and
that's
siblings.
not rap.
Yeah.
That's
No.
not gangster. It's
No.
not gangster for your homie to overdose. That's not cool,
Yeah, and I mean,
bro.
it's definitely not gangster for parents to have to bury their children.
Exactly.
That's the biggest thing.
Exactly. When you're burying your children before you.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
not gangster.
No.
Exactly, man. There's nothing thug.
And no, and it's
about
too
that.
accepted. People are going, oh, well, too bad. It's their problem to
Yeah.
deal with.
Exactly.
My question is, why keep singing about it and making it sound kind of like an appealing thing when you do know people are dying?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Because it's appealing. That's what there is an attraction to it. Because there's been that fun associated with it for so long, and that, oh, you want to get away, just have a bong, man. I've done it to my sober friends. I've done it to my friends who have never touched drugs. And I'm like, just have a bong, you'll feel better. And now they're active users, active
And then they've
recreational
gotten
users.
worse into other things as well.
Yeah, and they've dabbled in worse things, and it did not pull them out of a hole at all. It pushed them into one.
Yeah,
if
exactly.
anything.
Because there's some of us, smoke weed, don't touch anything else in their fucking lives. But others, it doesn't do what they wanted
No,
or what they
that's it.
expected from it.
So they
go
crave more.
further. Yeah.
And that's how Gateway.
Yeah, exactly.
into
And
it.
because, it's not like it's the gateway itself. It's people wanting more, like thinking they need more or something different from
It's
it.
all based on a person and how they are themselves.
No,
like,
100%.
in a way. And I think people forget that and only think about, what the stereotype is.
Yeah,
or,
for sure.
100%.
What they got told.
They forget that, everyone's different, especially with drugs. Drugs affect people differently.
That's it.
Yeah.
And some people will just be satisfied by not taking drugs at all.
That's
Some
it.
people are very satisfied.
Some people will just go their
Satisfying
whole lives
existing.
without
yeah,
it.
and
Yeah.
some people feel like they need that.
That's it. That's it. It's just knowing what it can do and what it could look like in the long term.
All right. Yeah. Well, I guess now, speaking about different people and situations, we should probably start talking about, how to maintain good vibes, good energies, make sure you're in a safe spot and stuff like that. I think personally, mindset is one of the biggest things you need to worry about, or maybe not worry about, but biggest things you should look into.
Think
man.
about. Yeah.
Like the first thing, psychedelics, for example, the first thing you're told is make sure you're positive and you're with really good people.
Yeah, and you're in a good mood.
Or else you're
safe
gonna have a
space.
shit time.
I've always been told that exact thing. And also being in a safe place. I was always
For sure.
very, very told if you're
Yeah.
ever going to do it, to be in a
Yeah, of
safe
course,
place
man, of
with
course.
safe people. And someone who knows too what's happening and will be there in case something happens.
For sure.
Someone who's been a long-term user will know what it's looked like. Someone who's educated about that drug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For example, my first experiences on acid, we had what you call a trip sitter. So someone who's done it plenty of times, they know what they're doing. Make sure that person's like one of the best people we can be around. Mine, for example, nicest guy out, and he just helped me through it the whole time, and I had an amazing time. I was happy, I was calm,
Awesome.
I wasn't thinking any bad thoughts. I was in a place where like simple things can really change your attitude. The colors in the room, just having very calm, vibrant colors can really change like your whole attitude towards it.
I've also heard though, you got to be careful. I don't know if this is everyone, but be careful with what you look at, what you listen to, just because some things can then just, you're fine with it when you're sober, and then next thing you watch it while you're tripping, and then it's just more. Like it's just gone down and you're bad now.
100%.
Definitely had that problem with a friend. He had taken it while sitting on a couch, and we were watching a movie or something with a bunch of magic and spells and stuff. So magic.
I've
heard that stuff's
there
really
was like
bad.
magical explosions and stuff like that, and he was sitting there and he was fine, and then he just went into this manic panic of just like trying to rip out hair, trying to rip himself out of the house, out of people's arms, and it was like, are you okay? And it's like tried to take him for a walk, and he was more terrified of existing than anything else.
Yeah,
it was like
100%.
just the adverse reaction of just he wasn't expecting to see what he saw, and obviously his mind couldn't comprehend, and it just sent him into a panic.
No, that's it.
For sure.
And then that's how things like psychosis and HPPD happen.
Yeah, because people will continue to put themselves into that space until it damages them.
That's it. And it's really easy to build an LSD tolerance.
Yeah.
So people increase how much they're using, and then all of a sudden you're balls deep in a bad trip. You're fucking Alice in Wonderland. You don't know
you've
what's
got 3
going
days
on.
to go.
Exactly. Your floor is melting, and you don't know what's left from right. You cannot communicate to your friends simple things like, I need a glass of water, I'm dehydrated. And you're just head over heels in this fucked up situation, and no one knows what to do with it.
And the other thing is that a lot of people won't admit that they've done that.
No, that's it.
They will not be able to actually accept and admit that they did wrong, and that's what's caused them to react so badly.
That's it.
I think too, if something's really horrifying, I find people can't talk about what really horrifying stuff is. Like if they're horrified by something, they probably won't say anything about it because it's so intense for them.
Yeah, that's it.
That they just don't even want to
or bring it up. Or like when they bring it up briefly, and then it's like when you try and ask them further on it, it's like, nah.
No, that's it.
I personally, if I were to give any advice, it would be picky about who you're with.
Thank you, man.
I don't settle for less, man. If I'm trying to have a good time, I don't care how long I've known you for. I don't care how long you've known me. If I'm not like having a good vibe with you, I'm not going to be around you.
No,
man.
that's it, man. 100%.
That's right.
Yeah.
Simple. Obviously, if people need help them out. But like, if I'm trying to have a good time and you're sad, there's more of a chance that I'm probably just not going to be there if I'm just trying to like have a really good time, you know? Be picky about who you're hanging out with.
Or the other thing is, if you don't feel safe in a space, like I've had the problem where, because I only smoke weed, that's all I do. But it's like going over to friends' houses because they're, going to shout your grill. And then they put like mushrooms or something on top of their cone. And it's like,
fuck that.
And then, you no longer feel safe in that space. So it's like, I removed myself from that situation. And people have to understand that it doesn't matter whether they're your friends or not. You can still remove yourself from those situations if you don't feel safe.
Consent in every situation.
And if you don't want to do something like that, just leave.
That's it. Non-consensually taking drugs is one of the most dangerous things I've ever experienced as a user.
Or even like getting a higher dosage than what you're meant to. For example, people do it all the time when you're having a sesh. You pack the next guy's bomb
and you thumb pack
it.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's sorry, that sort of funny thing of being like, I've put hash on this and now you're gonna die and get so high.
Oh, you fucking pussy, cough your ring out, pussy.
But
fuck that. What a killjoy. Are you kidding me? You're just trying to have a good time. You know, you might be new to this thing and you're just trying to take it slow, take it calm. Some dude's thumb packing your shit, man, and you're getting twice as much as what you expected.
And you're a new kid, like, you're young, you're getting into it, and you're with real hard, heavy users. You can be a hard, heavy cannabis user, by the way. Hard, heavy user doesn't mean the drug itself is classified as a heavy drug. A hard, heavy user to me is an everyday user. You can be in that situation, being a hard user. It kind of ties in again with what we were saying about the high functioning thing. Like, it is different for everyone else. But, you know, tying in with what you said, bro, I've said before, never take drugs with someone the first time you've met them.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, like, even if you've spoken on the internet before, your mates can vouch that they're good people Like, never, ever, ever take drugs with someone the first time.
Someone's going to react. You never know.
Like we were just saying, like the intent of it. Someone is going, oh, you're having a sesh with people who are new and getting into it, and people are like harder users, and you're having your cones thumb packed for you when you're clearly not capable of.
Or people are mixing them with other drugs. That's a really big problem.
That
and you don't know.
me. Who thinks it's funny?
That's disgusting.
You're a disgusting person if you think it's funny to go drug your friends and
100%.
think it's funny because
100%.
they're like, they won't mind, they won't care.
That's bullshit. It's disgusting.
And it's like a lot of the time, it's like you gotta tell people, or it's like bring your own stuff so you're not using other people's stuff, so you don't get either sick from them or have whatever other substances they've thrown through and stuff like that. And that's why I suppose a lot of people, when they get introduced to drugs, do it with their parents.
Yeah,
because then they're in a
sure.
safe space.
Yeah, that's it. I was, in a way, like I said, I was lucky to have my mom and dad who were like, you're using at home or you're not using at all because we can't trust you to be safe.
Yeah,
you're like, a kid.
Yeah, it's like we'd rather
sure.
watch you and know that you're safe instead of...
A 14-year-old child cannot consent to taking drugs in a car park with adults. That you might think you're able to give consent to a situation like that, but you are
especially
not.
Younger people always, I think that they're able to make those decisions, and then they'll look back on it and they go, I couldn't make that decision.
And
for myself.
The biggest problem is younger people looking up to those older people, thinking that they're a role model and thinking that they're there to support them when they're not. They're just there for...
Stop fucking supplying kids with drugs. If you're like 20, 21, stop taking drugs with kids, man. I know
it looks bad for the adult.
And I know it's hard. Like I've said before, I have friends who are 15. I'm 19. I have friends who are 15 and I have friends who are 20, 25. Like it's hard. But you need to know, like, you need to be realistic about what you're doing. And when you're bringing young people to your house, younger people than you need to think about what you looked like back then, what you were going through, and how much it would have helped you to have not gone back to all those houses to skip school and fucking get high all day.
Yeah, and the amount of, like, strangers' houses that you've ended up going to, or strangers you've had in your own house that you see years later, and they go, oh, I remember you. How long? It's like...
I've had run-ins with people. Yeah, I've had run-ins with people. I've met them. I've had them in a vulnerable space with me where they really could have hurt me and done some pretty bad things to me. And months later, they've been on the news. Or like there's statuses like they are a offender. They're doing this. They're beating people. They're ripping people up. You know, that has happened to me. I've missed it like this much. So too many times for it to be funny. Too many times. It's a real serious thing. If you're going to take drugs, when you're going to take drugs, because people are going to take drugs, you have to be realistic and you have to do it in a safe, positive standard. You can't settle for less when it comes to substance use. You need drug testing kits, people who can keep you safe while you're high, and you need resources for things like water and hygiene and a phone. If you can't don't go camping for 3 days in the middle of nowhere to somewhere you've never been to go take drugs and get drunk for 4 days. Something bad will happen. Something bad.
A friend of mine did that. She went out to the forest with a photographer. She went out to Kaipo with a photographer.
No.
And he only wanted her to be going with him, just her. And she went, no, I'm bringing someone else. And because she brought someone else, he cancelled it. And it was like,
no
what were you planning?
You never know someone's intent, man.
Yeah, and you can't
know someone's intent.
And I mean, just because people are their word and their word is all that they have, doesn't mean you can trust it.
No, right. I was just about to mention like a really big thing, like trust your gut.
Man.
If you got an off feeling about someone, get the fuck away from them. If you got an off feeling about the place you're in, get the fuck away from it.
Or a dealer.
If you got an off feeling about the substance that's right in front of you, don't fucking take it.
If the thought crosses your mind, I shouldn't be doing this, then you're probably right.
You probably shouldn't be fucking doing it. That's it, 100%. Just don't. You're never the bad guy. Would you rather miss out on a high or get stabbed?
Facts.
Be realistic. Think of it that way. I know not every situation is that dramatic. Think of it that way.
Like, or a lot of people, it's like, oh, you've given yourself a heart condition or you fucked your thyroid and stuff like that people don't even think about.
Exactly.
No, for sure.
And it's not being educated and not being just sort of, some people just need to be sheltered from it.
No, definitely. It's just, be educated. do better.
Yeah.
It's not hard to Google a couple of
That's
things.
it.
I mean, I
And-
know it's not biblical. Fucking go onto WebMD,
No,
you
but-
know,
No,
get all your medical stuff.
No, but there's a point where you need to not be a victim.
Yeah.
You need to stand up for yourself. And if you're going to be taking drugs like an adult and you're going to be throwing around big words and having big nights with your mates, act like a fucking adult.
do a
Back
bit
that
of
up.
research.
Yeah, man, back that shit up. Know what's going into your drugs. Know what you're putting in your body. Know who you're getting it from.
Yeah.
Don't get drugs from random people. Don't take lollies from strangers, kids. It's the exact same
for
thing.
sure.
Yeah.
The exact same thing.
For sure.
When you see some random dude at the car park, you've never met him before, and he's trying to sell you a bag. When he's trying to sell you a bag, don't do it.
Yeah.
Go somewhere you know you were safe. Go somewhere where you know nothing bad is going to happen to you. There is minimal risk involved. You need to have minimal risk all the time. And prevention is always better than solution.
Yeah.
You'd rather lose a deal than risk your life. Be
For
serious.
sure.
Be serious.
For sure.
But yeah, thanks for that today, guys. I really appreciate
Not a
it.
problem.
I feel like those three subjects in particular are really fucking important.
Hell yeah.
And I hope
Hell yeah.
I hope, you know, if people are watching this at home, maybe you can stop for a couple minutes and have this conversation with your homies.
Yeah.
And you know, you can talk about the same things together and go, you know, do we think about safety plans enough? Do we think about each other enough? Love your homies. Make sure people are safe. You know what I mean? Make sure people have got people to call. People got resources. People got kits. People got water. People got somewhere to sleep at night.
Hell yeah.
Have all that shit planned. Be realistic, man. You know what I mean? Spread love.
How the fuck do we wrap this up?
Puffin' Paws!
I think we got to do a blooper roll, huh?
Bloopers.
Now.
That sounded so sketchy, man. How the fuck do we wrap this up?
I think that one was hella fluent. Good.
It was great.
On your face.
Whatever.